Morning, Jimmy. This is Jack, your buddy Jack and tool buddy, here at the Tattoo Bend Vineyard. This is a quick video just to kind of show you my setup. But keep in mind now, this is all bush league and temporary. I only put it in just to see how everything works. The pump on the right, it pumps from the well and pumps into my holding tank. It's a 1,200 gallon tank. Then once the tank fills up, then pump number 2, the one that's leaking right here, that's my pool pump. It puts out about 25 psi pressure, which is perfect for the drip lines. Now the reason that pump is leaking, the other day I turned the pump on, but I forgot to turn the water on. So man, all those fittings got hotter than heck, and they all expanded. But when they cooled down, they didn't contract. So I even took it apart and put some more Teflon tape, but that didn't do any good. So next spring I'll have to take all those fittings apart and then redo those filters. But pump number 1 takes it from the well, pumps it into the tank, and then pump number 2 sends it out to the drippers. Now I have I think 750 plants. Right now they're all watering at once. The drippers really work pretty good. There's a overall shot of the vineyard. I'll walk down one of the rows and show you an example. I forget what variety I have here in this row, but some of the plants just go bananas. I've had to, the last couple of years, the plants all froze and died, so they had to regrow themselves from the root. At the beginning of the spring, so I didn't have a sustained vine. So some of the plants really haven't started developing the grapes, but this variety, like I say, I don't know what variety this is, but this row has plenty of grapes. They're small. These are wine grapes, all #1 certified, the best grapes you can possibly get. And each one of these plants should end up with about 10 pounds per plant. Again, these are just young, so I don't expect to get 10 pounds out of these. This is the first year I've had a lot of grapes. Here's one that didn't make it back, so I'll have to replant that. But I'll walk down here and show you the header, how it's tied in. Now my rows are, I think, 250 feet, so I ended up wasting some Tygon tubing, or some poly pipe, I mean. But here's here's my main header. My 2-inch header is run underground, and then it stubs up every, I think my rows are 8 feet. Yeah, I think it's 8 feet. So a 2-inch header, stub up 8 feet. I tied on a valve and then an adapter to go from the valve to the poly pipe, the drip pipe. Let's see if I can get, they're actually dripping right now. Here's a good one. Now they call these drippers, but they're not, it's actually a small stream. I'm hoping that you can see this, that little blue flag and the water pouring out. Now these are 1 gallon per hour drippers, so with a pressure of 25 psi, that 1 gallon can should fill up in about an hour. Now you can get 2 gallon an hour drippers. You can put 2 drippers per plant, so you can get any combination that you want. But now here's an example of a row. Even though there are some grapes right there, this row doesn't have many grapes, so it didn't do as well as my first row. Now here's an example what happens to the drip line. I think the sunlight degrades these tie wraps, and they'll break, and then the line fills up with water. It droops a little bit. Then the heat of the day, the water gets really hot in that black tubing, and then it sags, and when it sags, it pulls the dripper off center from the plant. So now it's not watering right on the plant. So need to come up with a good way to hold that drip line in place. And again, my drip line is 3/4, which is way too big. I'd recommend a 1/2 inch maximum. But you can see the difference. I'm going to stand back here looking at this row, and then we'll walk over and look down that row. See the difference in the growth? Different varieties do better, and also the different varieties take the cold, I guess, a little bit better. Just so happens that this variety here, man, it took the cold, and every one of the plants has plenty of grapes on it. Now I have these plants spaced at 6 foot. Now there's one down there that died. Actually, they all died, but they all came back. Here's one that didn't come back, and there's one that didn't come back. But again, some of these plants aren't doing as well as others, so it's just an experiment. I know that this row, let's see if I can spin around into the heat, and the 1, 2, the third row over, man, that row is going bananas. As a matter of fact, this row that you're looking at here is doing well. So after a couple of years, I'll figure out which variety does the best, and then I'll start replacing some of these that have died with better plants that'll survive this particular climate area. I'm right on the river. It gets colder than Hades here, so the plants have to be able to take a good hard freeze. Some do and some don't. It's too bad you're not closer, because I have about 500 of these galvanized grape stakes and about 20 rolls of this number 12 high tension wire that I would give you to get started, but I think it'll cost too much to ship it. And your end posts, man, I would do a really good job of putting in end posts. Matter of fact, I think I'd probably go with 2-inch pipe or 3-inch pipe rather than these 4x6s. In fact, I've had a couple of the 4x6s break on me already, and now I don't have tension on the wire. So that's causing a little bit of a problem. Now these last 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These last 5 rows, they're all small because this was phase 2. I just planted these 2 years ago. Everything that you see here is the 3rd year, and this is only the 2nd year. But again, everything froze and died, dead. So all the growth that you see here came back from the roots of the plant, not from the vines that made it through the winter. Everything died through the winter. But my rows are 200 and I think 240 feet. I just picked a number, not thinking about buying drip line that's 500 foot, or it comes in a 100-foot roll or a 500-foot roll. So I ended up with a whole bunch of extra drip line, and I tried to piece it together with couplings, but you know, you're paying money for stainless steel bands to couple it and the fittings, and it just don't pay. So make it a 200-foot row. Put your header at 100 feet so you go both ways with 100-foot drip line, and it'll work perfect. Come down here again, get another picture of the dripper. Yeah, let me go on the other side here. I'm going to go down to one of these plants that didn't make it, and you can really clearly see the dripper. Okay, there it is. Now at one time that dripper was centered of this little bamboo stick that I had the grape growing up, but you can see how much it's pulled off center. The weight of the pipe when the tie wraps break pulls everything off center, so that it doesn't work out. But that little blue flag on the dripper, if it gets some cucca inside it, you just turn it 90 degrees and pull it off of there, and it'll shoot a blast out and clean itself, and then plug it right back in, and everything's back to normal. But again, I would go 8 foot to center. These are 6 foot. They're a little bit close. And if you go 8 foot to center, it gives you 8 foot in between the plants. You might put an extra dripper in there and put a few bell peppers, some strawberries, a few things like that that act as a barometer. So as you walk the rows, you know, if you see a good bell pepper, the strawberries are doing well, then you can assume that the grapes are getting enough water too. Yeah, I have a hard time figuring out whether or not my grapes need water or not, but I just play it by ear, watch the leaves. I'll walk over here, get a picture of my, I call this fire pit. This is, well, let me keep going. This is the grassy knoll where we have the bonfires for the barbecue, and then this is the cabana where the barbecue is. And there's a picture of the new Hoobler Lodge. The upstairs is the bar, and downstairs is the pool hall. There's my apple trees. I had a lot of apples this year. Matter of fact, I had to pinch off about 1,000 of them. They're full of worms because I didn't spray, but I don't care. The apples are just for the deer for right now. I don't want a bunch of apples on it because all it does is break the branches. I've got half a dozen different varieties here. But had I sprayed and had I taken care of them, it would have been a lot better now. As the branch develops and gets a lot more stout, then I'll be able to leave some apples on there. Again, I've pinched off probably a minimum of 50 apples per tree already. And I'm just leaving what's there, even though it's full of worms. For the deer, they come through here every night. I think that's probably a Red Delicious. Over here's a Granny Smith. And I have a few pear trees too. Here's another Granny Smith with wormholes in it. And you might want to throw in some apple trees too, just to see how well. Actually, it doesn't have to be an apple tree. I mean, if you're already going to put drippers out there, you have 8 foot between the rows. I'd throw a few trees in between the grapes. Maybe put 1 row of trees and put 2-gallon-an-hour drippers and put 1 on each side of the tree. You might as well be growing some trees at the same time you're doing the grapes. Alright, now I'll spin around. Okay, there it is, Jimmy. That's the new Hoobler Lodge. Got my electrical signed off finally, at least the rough. I have to do a little more work on the plumbing, get it under pressure, and then call for plumbing and mechanical and framing inspection probably next week. Still have a little bit more to do on the vents and drains, but it's coming along. Nice day today. It's going to be about 85. Sunshine. I'm waiting on Gail. She's supposed to come up and help me do a little work on the plumbing this morning. Alright, Jimmy P, my old tool buddy. This Big Jack signing off from the Tap-Till Bend Vineyard. I hope I didn't make this too long. I hope YouTube posts it. But I'll see you one of these days. Take care.